Paradise Island is suddenly filled with a terrible scream. Two men tied to gaming tables lose consciousness after their tongues are cut out. The host, a pretty blonde in a red dress, comes up to one of the men and says the next round is starting. The injured man can't say anything now, and it doesn't matter. The host then brings the players' relatives into the arena and announces that their lives are at stake in this round. When the players choose and press their buttons, the blonde reveals the result. The relatives will be killed. A few weeks earlier, a bus takes a group of tourists to a villa. Jude, one of the friends, won an online game and got a trip to Paradise Island for 6 people. He invited his childhood best friend Andy, his wife Kate, his father, his new girlfriend Heather, and his younger brother Henry. Andy and Kate are close to divorcing because Andy had an affair. Kate tries hard not to make a scene, and their troubled relationship is not improved by the vacation. The travelers check into the villa and get an invitation from the hotel. Heather, though, is focused on something else. She's waiting for her boyfriend to get rich and buy her expensive gifts. The next morning, the women go to the pool. Heather tries to talk to her friend about the argument they overheard the night before. The men also have a talk, and Andy thanks his friend for the great vacation. Andy is surprised that Jude brought his brother Henry along. Jude explains that Henry helped him with money for another gambling debt. While the women enjoy the sun, the men go to meet with the villa administration. The guests are greeted and invited to a table where a company representative joins them. She thanks Jude for joining the game and offers to increase the stakes, play a few more rounds and win $20 million. She explains that this time the game will be offline but simple. There will be a trial round to help them understand the rules and decide if they want to continue. Andy, unlike his friend, doesn't want to participate. He thinks the offer is too good to be true and suspects a trick, especially since the main rule is that players will be strapped to the table and can't back out. Andy reluctantly agrees to try the trial round. The hotel staff are acting strangely and take a glass from Jude's hand. Still, the men go to the designated place, and the host announces the start of the trial round. The prize for this round is $10,000, and the rules are simple. There are 2 buttons, red and blue. If both press the red button, the money is split equally. If both press the blue button, no one wins the prize, and both must return the money to the company. If one presses red and the other presses blue, the player who presses red gets everything while the other owes the company. Andy suspects his friend of deceit and is sure that he will press the blue button to take the entire prize, but in the end, the men come to their senses, apologize to each other, and press the red buttons. The host announces that the winnings have been credited to their accounts and offers to continue playing. Andy refuses to participate again, realizing that it will only get worse. But Jude behaves foolishly, persuading his friend to have some fun and not take the game too seriously. It seems as if Jude senses that everything will end badly, but he gives in to his friend's persuasion and the players return to the table. The participants' left hands are cuffed to the table, and the host informs them that there is no turning back from this point on. She announces the start of the new round, but this time there are new details. Instead of just winning money, the consequences become physical. If both press the red button, $50,000 will be credited to their accounts, but both players will lose a finger. If only one presses the red button, they will owe $100,000 and lose a finger, while their opponent will remain unharmed. Finally, if both players press the blue button, they will both owe $100,000 and lose not just a finger but their entire hand. Jude continues to laugh, which greatly annoys Andy, who realizes they've gotten themselves into a mess. But Jude reassures his friend that there's no need to panic. It's just a silly joke by the host. The guys agree to press the red buttons, but Jude deceives his friend. He presses the blue button despite his promises. The traitor gets the entire sum, but a horrifying event unfolds before his eyes. Andy loses a finger on his shackled hand. It becomes clear that the blonde was serious. Anyone who refuses to choose a button will be eliminated. The second round is no different from the previous one, except this time the prize is $500,000. The girl offers the players a chance to confer and delivers the show's signature line for those who are watching. Andy accuses his friend of pressing the blue button for the money. He realizes that Jude had always been friends with him out of convenience, but the traitor denies the accusations and reveals a secret to Andy. He knew about Andy's mother's illness for 6 months and had been helping her with treatment so that none of their loved ones would have to worry. The touching moment is interrupted by the host's voice, who asks the players to make a choice. She watches the proceedings with interest, as do the viewers watching the broadcast from somewhere safe. This time both buttons turn out to be red, and it's declared a draw. The money hits the players' accounts as quickly as their fingers are taken off. Jude tries to understand why the host is doing this, but the blonde assures him that she is only interested in her paycheck. The show has many fans, and she can't let them down. It's time for the third round, and the stakes are raised. This time, instead of fingers, the lives of the players' loved ones are on the line. Now, 2 red buttons will bring the players money but will cost their relatives their eyes. If both buttons are blue, the players will become debtors, and the old man and Jude's brother will be eliminated. If the players make different choices, the blue player will get all the money and their relative will leave unharmed, while the red player will owe $1 million and their relative will lose their life. A dispute breaks out between the players, and Jude asks his friend to press the red button. His father has lived a long life. Jude fails to reach an agreement with Andy, and both men try to save their relatives, but instead it only makes things worse. Both press the blue button and the guests are executed, saddling the players with a massive debt. The host gives the guys a short break and announces the start of the next round, which turns out to be more terrifying than the previous one. Kate and Heather are brought out as the new stakes in this hellish game. The rules remain the same. If both press the red buttons, $5 million will be credited to their accounts, but the women will lose their tongues. The women are given a chance to say their last words. Kate confesses her love to her husband and promises to put his affair behind them. Heather also uses her chance to tell Jude about her pregnancy, but this doesn't affect the host and the game continues. The players are given more time to discuss, and Jude assures his friend that he will press the red button. Jude deceives his friend and presses the blue button. He gets the money, and Heather is led away. At the moment when Kate is eliminated before her husband's eyes, a camera hidden in the hand of an ancient statue carefully observes everything. The host cheerfully announces that the game is coming to an end. Andy is no longer afraid of what's to come, as there are no longer any loved ones left in his life, but the blonde disagrees. She reminds him that Jude was also his best friend. In the next round, just like in the previous ones, 2 red buttons bring both players a win. But in this case, they both lose an eye. Andy refuses to discuss options and says that he will press the blue button. Despite his decision, Andy lacks the courage to sign his friend's death warrant. The red buttons light up and the host rejoices at how cleverly Andy outplayed everyone. The men receive their money, and the hotel staff do their job, taking 1 eye from each player. What happens next shocks the participants. Heather, who had already participated in the game and managed to escape, is brought back to the table. She declares that the girl will not just be a stake this time. Heather will have a chance to press the button. Hearing this, Andy realizes he has no chance. The lovers will save each other. In the final round, Andy and Jude become a team, but only Andy has the right to press the button. If he presses the red button and Heather shows a red card, everyone will stay alive and share $20 million. However, all 3 participants will lose an eye. If the colors don't match, the blue players will take the money and stay alive, while the red players will sign their death warrants. If all choose blue, then all 3 will be eliminated, and the money will stay in the hands of the show's organizers. Jude asks his girlfriend to trust him and raise the red card. He laughs at Jude for not noticing how Heather was using him for his money. The blonde starts crying and begs Andy to press the red button with her. She reminds him of her pregnancy and asks him to let her and Jude raise their child together. Moved by her pleas, Andy presses the red button. But Heather breaks her promise. She wipes away her tears and shows the blue card. Andy laughs, realizing how cleverly Heather played them, while Jude is confused. He finally understands there is no pregnancy, and that Heather deceived everyone to save herself. The host thanks the players for the game, and the staff eliminates them in front of the audience. The game then shifts back to the beginning, where the participants face a difficult choice again. This time they are under the guidance of a new blonde in red. Heather, who asks the players not to let her down, says their game determines her paycheck, so they should return to the table and entertain the powerful patrons. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. See you on the next video.